Tuning into Dunk Dynasty on YouTube, the audience immediately grasps the gravity of the situation concerning Chennedy Carter. The atmosphere on the channel often leans heavily pro-Caitlin Clark, but even amidst that admiration, fairness prevails. When Chennedy Carter's incident with Caitlin Clark occurred, many viewers, and even the host himself, found themselves torn. While vehemently opposing Carter's actions, the channel equally opposes blacklisting and blackballing, which appears to have happened to Carter in an unofficial capacity. Despite leading the Chicago Sky in scoring with a robust 17.5 points per game, her career now faces significant hurdles. The league's overall struggle with scoring makes her absence even more noticeable. Fans who expected her talent to triumph are left questioning how behavior outside of technical skills can dictate professional trajectories. Chennedy Carter, a promising player, seemed poised to turn her controversial anger into positive performance on the court. Yet, it appears that moment of redemption might not arrive in the 2024 WNBA season. Her future in the league has grown dim as she finds herself searching for opportunities outside the United States. Many sympathize with her ability but simultaneously acknowledge the necessity for personal reform if she hopes to reintegrate into the WNBA's demanding environment. Whether fans agree or disagree with her blacklisting, the central narrative remains one of wasted potential, hard lessons, and the steep price of a single impulsive act against a rising star like Caitlin Clark. Chennedy Carter's statistical dominance last season cannot be overstated. Averaging 17.5 points per game, she was not just a pivotal figure for the Chicago Sky but arguably their most potent offensive weapon. A respected commentator on social media, known simply as Six, astutely pointed out that Carter would still be the team's best scorer had she remained. Such insights echo throughout the WNBA community. Even considering the presence of talented rookies like Camila Cardoso, there is a lingering belief that Carter's scoring ability would be unmatched within her former team's lineup. Her shooting percentage of 50% further bolsters this argument, especially in a league desperate for efficient scoring. However, basketball, like many professional sports, requires more than just talent. Professionalism, sportsmanship, and emotional control are equally important. The infamous incident where she flagrantly fouled Caitlin Clark, an act many viewed as bordering on assault, permanently marred her reputation. Her dismissive response in the post-game interview only deepened the controversy. Statements such as, "I ain't answering no Caitlin Clark questions," reinforced perceptions of immaturity and resentment. Even after appearing on a podcast to offer a more detailed explanation, public perception remained largely unmoved. Actions in high-visibility moments often outweigh later apologies. Chennedy Carter's numbers are remarkable, but her behavior has left an indelible stain on her career that statistics alone cannot erase. In professional sports, especially under the media's unflinching spotlight, one's reputation can change overnight, and regaining lost ground is an uphill battle requiring humility and consistent self-improvement. As the WNBA's 2024 training camps loomed closer, Chennedy Carter's situation grew increasingly dire. Her one-year deal with the Chicago Sky had ended without renewal, and no other team showed public interest in signing her. Faced with limited options and an uncertain future in American professional basketball, Carter turned to an alternative path: international play. She signed with a premier team in Mexico's LMBPF, one of the country's top women's professional basketball leagues. The move signified not just a career pivot but a wake-up call. Although international leagues often pay competitive salaries, sometimes surpassing what the WNBA offers, the prestige and visibility are not equivalent. Carter's decision underscores the severity of her current standing in the eyes of WNBA franchises. Joining a team that had previously reached the finals, Carter now finds herself in a new environment where her skills will be valued, but the road back to American courts remains murky. This shift abroad is emblematic of many talented athletes who, despite undeniable skill, face barriers to re-entry into elite leagues due to personal conduct. Her transition to Mexico offers her a chance to rebuild her reputation, hone her skills, and demonstrate professional growth. Yet, the stigma attached to her actions in the WNBA will not easily dissipate. The move is strategic, necessary, and perhaps transformative, but the pressure on Chennedy Carter to prove herself anew is immense. Whether this chapter marks the beginning of a redemption story or the continuation of an unfortunate downfall rests largely in her own hands. At only 26 years old, Chennedy Carter should be entering the prime of her professional career. She boasts an impressive shooting accuracy, a proven scoring ability, and the kind of athleticism that could anchor a WNBA franchise's offensive strategy. Unfortunately, Her career trajectory now serves as a cautionary tale for young athletes about the critical importance of conduct both on and off the court. The WNBA has never been solely about raw talent. It is also about marketability, sportsmanship, and the ability to navigate complex interpersonal dynamics within a highly scrutinized professional environment. Carter's fall illustrates how quickly opportunities can evaporate when personal emotions are left unchecked. Many observers, including those sympathetic to her talents, stress that self-awareness, emotional regulation, and humility are as vital to longevity in professional sports as physical prowess. Dunk Dynasty's coverage of her story amplifies these lessons, portraying her situation as a loss not just for Carter but for the league itself, which could have benefited from her exceptional scoring skills during a season where offensive output is in dire demand. Carter's story resonates because it blends elements of tragedy, missed potential, and possible redemption. For every young player entering the professional ranks, her story is a vivid reminder that greatness on the court must be matched by composure and grace off it. Whether Chennedy Carter will embrace these lessons remains uncertain, but her journey thus far starkly highlights the intertwined nature of skill, character, and opportunity. With the WNBA expansion on the horizon, most notably the introduction of teams like the Golden State Valkyries, many analysts predicted an influx of opportunities for players seeking a fresh start. Expansion teams often serve as sanctuaries for talented athletes previously marginalized or overlooked. Chennedy Carter seemed like an ideal candidate to flourish under these new circumstances. Given her scoring pedigree, she could have easily been a leading figure for an expansion team desperate for a dynamic offensive player. In a landscape where even modest contributions are magnified, Carter's ability to drop 17 points per night and shoot efficiently would have been an undeniable asset. Yet, her exclusion even from these newly forming rosters signals the depth of concern regarding her professionalism and public image. The perception of her as a volatile presence outweighed her on-court talents in the minds of WNBA executives. Furthermore, her stint in China, where she averaged over 30 points per game, was not enough to rehabilitate her image among decision-makers back home. Her exclusion from the Valkyries and other teams represents a missed opportunity not just for Carter but arguably for the league itself, which could have benefited from her star potential. Expansion eras historically offer redemption arcs for players on the fringe, but for Chennedy Carter, that window appears to have closed, at least temporarily. Her transition to playing in Mexico becomes all the more poignant against the backdrop of what might have been a starring role in the next evolution of the WNBA, now deferred or possibly lost altogether. As Chennedy Carter begins her new chapter in Mexico's LMBPF, the full scope of her journey serves as a sobering reflection on how quickly fortunes can change in professional sports. Dunk Dynasty's coverage of her trajectory reminds audiences that while talent is critical, it is far from the only requirement for success. Chennedy Carter's tale is not just about a player losing a job, it is about an athlete confronting the consequences of unchecked emotions, public perception, and personal accountability. Her choice to continue playing abroad rather than walking away from basketball altogether speaks to her resilience, but it also signifies the long road ahead if she hopes to rejoin the WNBA ranks. Her current situation evokes memories of past athletes whose missteps relegated them to smaller stages, only to later redeem themselves through hard work and reformed behavior. Whether Carter follows that redemptive path remains uncertain. She retains her physical gifts and scoring ability, but until she addresses the underlying issues that led to her fall, she risks becoming a permanent cautionary tale. Carter's story is far from over, but it has reached a critical juncture where future choices will define whether she remains a forgotten footnote or stages one of the great comebacks in WNBA history. For now, her days as a leading scorer in the Premier Women's League are paused, her potential greatness deferred to another time and place. What remains is the hope that Chennedy Carter can transform adversity into triumph and perhaps someday return to the WNBA stronger, wiser, and better than ever before.